This is Project Management for You.
Hi Caesar, it's Ben Adam Smith from the House Planning Help podcast. I just wanted to say that I'm really impressed with everything you're doing with your Kickstarter campaign. You're making it look very easy. I know this from experience that it's hard work to get that money in, but your community is rallying around you, which is so nice to see. And I know you're going to get this. So good luck. I can't wait to read Project Management for You. Cheers.
Are you a solopreneur, individual, or small business owner who struggles with ideas and lacks converting those ideas into reality?
Do you underpromise, afraid you won't deliver?
Learn the least you need to know to start your path of turning ideas into reality and delivering on your promises.
Each episode is designed to help you get things done.
Welcome to Project Management for You with Caesar Abade.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the 15th episode of the Project Management for You podcast series. I am Caesar Abade, your host, and it is great to have you here once again. This is episode 15, so that means that it's been 3 weeks now of this. We're producing this series, and there's one more to go. I hope you're enjoying these episodes. On this show, I bring you my conversations with the best project managers I know as we try to break down and explain project management to you, so you too can start turning your ideas into reality, delivering on your promises, and getting things done by using project management principles and ideas. Now, using my own experience as a project manager and a lot of the insights here I'm gathering with this series, as you know by now, I'm writing a book called Project Management for You. And as this series airs, be sure to visit projectmanagementforyou.com and check out the crowdfunding campaign I'm running to help me with the costs of self-publishing. This campaign is going to run for the month of October 2014, ending on November 1st, 2014. So if you are listening during that time, I'd appreciate your support. So visit projectmanagementforyou.com for more details. Now today I bring you my friend Geoff Crane, and we will break down project management and explain it to you. Geoff Crane is a former senior project portfolio manager who has ties to some of the world's largest banks and professional service firms. A staunch believer in the value of soft skills over hard skills, he has returned to university to pursue a doctorate in clinical psychology. Unable to stay away from the action, Geoff continues to help aspiring executives organize their project work and is an adjunct professor of project management at Durham College in Ontario, Canada.
Today's special guest and project manager extraordinaire is up next.
Good evening, Geoff. How are you?
I'm really good, thanks. How are you, Caesar?
It's great. It's so great to talk to you again. You are a cool person to talk to because I can't be unhappy when I'm talking to you.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, one of these days we'll meet in person because we're both here in Canada, and maybe we can meet halfway in Toronto or something.
That sounds good.
So Geoff, you are a project manager. You're a project management expert. You've written a number of things. You have a blog, and you talk about this a lot. You teach project management at the college level. So how would you define project management to the layperson?
I would keep it pretty simple. Project management is a framework of techniques that help you get through the intense period of making something new.
Ooh, intense period. So doing something new, is it always intense?
Generally, it's pretty intense, I find. That's been my experience anyway.
Yeah, I was interviewed on another podcast, and it was about chaos in projects and how can you tell if a project is chaotic or a project is in trouble. I said, well, projects are there to solve a problem, so you expect it to be dealing with problems, right?
Exactly.
It's always going to be a problem. At the very least, the one you're trying to solve with the project.
True. Very
cool. So, all right. So that's a brief and neat definition there. So, let's say if you're talking to someone who's not in the industry of the project management industry, what do you think is the least that people need to know about project management to start on the path of managing and completing projects?
That's a good question. And I started thinking about that when you asked me earlier. And I guess the main point for me is that if you want to get something done, it's generally not going to be about you. It's going to be about the people around you. There's been so much written about project management, like there's techniques and processes and procedures. So I'll probably just gloss over those. But what I think that what gets forgotten about any kind of project is that the work that we do is always for other people or with other people or by other people. And we're just kind of facilitators and need to remember that.
Mm-hmm. So, so even if you're like a solopreneur or you have a small business and maybe you don't have a team, at the very least you have your clients, correct?
Yeah, exactly. One thing that I keep running into is that a lot of new project managers seem to have this feeling because they've taken this job that they have to magically do everything themselves and that they're responsible for the whole world and that everything will come crashing down, because they're bearing the whole weight of the world on their shoulders. And it's just not true.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Yeah. And then one thing that we deal with the small businesses when it comes to the time to hire someone and to work with people, it's very different going from doing everything yourself to start actually getting help. But we get to that a little later on. There's a question about that.
Okay.
So I always say that project management is also the art of bringing an idea into reality. Do you agree with that? And if you do, what are the stages of bringing an idea to reality?
Yeah, I think that's really accurate, actually. It is kind of, you've got a germ of an idea when a project begins and you want to turn that into something tangible. So I guess, if I was to think about the steps that were involved, I think the first step would be developing a clarity of vision, right? Ideas, we all have them and they start out as, little germs, and they're not well thought through and they're really not fully formed. So they need to really be thought through kind of all the way, just so you can answer questions that people ask. I guess the next step would be to find some champions, right? So, you have your voice, but it'll probably get drowned out with all of the noise of all of the other stuff that's going on, in your world. So if you can find champions, they'll be able to amplify your voice through, using other people. I guess you kind of need to gather a bit of an army, of progressively more senior people if you want to get any traction with your idea. And I say progressively because you don't want to start off with the CEO and unless he went to your kid's bar mitzvah or something, start small and build it up from there. And I guess once you kind of got that, then the rest of it is just working through the details.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's always interesting how people break that down, into stages, but it's a lot of times it's just a linear thing. You start with the idea and then some sort of you need to define it better so you know exactly what it is that you want to do, and then talk to the people who are going to be helping you and talk to the people who are going to be paying for it.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get to a point where you need to start defining project objectives, but by the time you're at that point, now you're kind of into the stage where, we've got an idea, we've got sort of a general view in terms of what we want to accomplish and how we want to get there. The tough part is really getting that little germ, that little seed of an idea into something that, you can answer questions about, you can talk through, you can kick around with other people, and you can get other people excited about. I find that's the hardest part.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're really good at it.
Thank you.
I can only imagine what it is to be in a project with you. It's probably very... Do you walk into the room, doing high fives and stuff? And
not exactly. No. It really depends on the day.
Say, no, not really. Not today. And today I didn't do that. But.
So am I rifling for Xanax in my desk? Or
Very cool. Very cool. Now, there's a lot. There's a very thick book, and I talked about this before, called The Project Management Body of Knowledge. And it's a thick book full of, among other things, tools and techniques that project managers out there use to get their projects done. So if you could recommend one of these techniques from the project management world to the masses, what would it be and where can we learn more about it?
Well, I think most people already know the technique that I would recommend. The problem is most people don't really, I don't see a lot of people using it. When you look at the PMBOK, it's just chock full of stuff. We've got earned value, we've got all the different knowledge areas, all the different process groups. But the one thing nobody really talks about is buying beer, right? It's so simple. It's so easy, right? And one of the things that I find happens on just about every one of my projects that I've ever done is that people are really forgiving if they know you and they value you, right? That takes work to make happen. I mean, you don't just sort of walk into the company on the first day and just say, all right, I'm here to sort of take everything over and shove my face in your business, right? Like, I mean, there's going to be some skepticism that starts, initially. But I find just, getting to know people, taking them out, like, seriously, and becoming friendly with them really goes a long way. Like, because what's going to happen is, as you put your project plans together, everything looks great on paper, but then you're going to make mistakes. You're going to forget stuff. You're going to have like these last minute demands. You're going to have like period bursts of insane and like these unreasonable requirements. I mean, you hope you don't, but you have to acknowledge the fact that over the course of a project, these things are going to happen. And if people don't know you and they don't trust you and they don't have a good relationship with you, the likelihood that they're going to dig their heels in is going to go up, with less support that you have from them. So, buy beer, get friendly with people, take an active interest in people's lives. It's so simple. We all have this skill, but I think we kind of forget it and lose it, when things heat up.
Mm-hmm. Now I really want to work on a project with you. Geoff, let's talk about people a little bit.
Sure.
As we talked about here, it's one of probably the top thing you need to keep in mind is that you're going to be working with other people. At the very least, you're going to be working with your clients,
Mm-hmm.
So, but let's say you have a team, or you're thinking of getting a team or hiring someone. What is the best way to know when and what to delegate to people, and how to encourage them to collaborate with you on a project?
So that's kind of like two questions. I guess the first question is, how do you know when and what to delegate? From my perspective, and I might be completely off on this, but I believe as project manager, delegate everything, hang on to nothing. That is my position. I'll tell you a story. I had about 14 years ago, I was working on one of the first e-trading portals for foreign exchange in the Far East. And everything was going great. I had teams of developers and teams building the user interface, and I had translators for the different languages, and everything was all covered off. But one of the things that the stakeholders really wanted was in-house research delivered up through the portal. So I thought, you know what, everybody's really busy, so I got a technical background. Why don't I just take this on? And that'll save everybody else the time and the headache. And the problem was, it wasn't really that big a job. It was probably maybe 3 days of really concentrated effort, on one person's part. But since I was that one person, I found myself really getting split, right? All day I'm spending just like clearing bottlenecks and plugging holes and doing all of that stuff. And then it's like 8 o'clock at night. I want to go home. Oh, you know what? I need to deal with this research thing. So I would pick it up and I would start it. And then, people in, 12 time zones or 6 time zones away would start calling. So I'd answer the phone and then I'd hang up and I would have completely lost my train of thought where I was. So that would add even more time, right? So what I learned from that experience was, I should never have had that particular piece of work on my plate to begin with. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you're going to, if you're doing any work that is not plugging holes and clearing bottlenecks, you're going to run out of cycles. So all of that stuff should be identified and planned and assigned before you've even left the planning phase.
Mm-hmm. Geoff, I'll open my heart here to you. One thing that I struggle with sometimes is I feel like when I'm asking someone to do something for me, I feel like they might be thinking that I just don't want to do it myself, and that's why I'm telling them to do it because it's a crappy job to do or something that it's really unpleasant. How do you address that I guess, I don't know, that feeling of okay, maybe I should jump in here and help out, otherwise people are not going to respect me because they just see me giving orders.
That's almost tying into something like imposter syndrome,
right,
where you feel that you're kind of a fraud and you're the one that should be carrying this because who are you? I run into that a lot. The one thing I've actually found is when I stop and relax a little bit, people are really willing to take on pieces of work. They recognize that you're busy and you're going crazy and you've got 1,000,001 different things that you have to take care of because of the responsibility of your position. So what I find is that, first of all, people have no real problem. If they're already assigned to your project, they don't have a problem with picking up the slack, as long as you're treating them with respect as you go through, as you're getting your work done. A lot of the problems, I mean, in terms of actually, getting people to want to collaborate, really just comes down to, like, do you have a good handle on them? Do you understand their wants and their needs and their fears? Because those things, I mean, you have to admit, Caesar, those things are really tied into, project objectives in the first place. It's those types of things. Then, were you able to paint a good picture? Were you able to, clearly convey the vision that you have for the project? I mean, people want to be associated with something that's going to be successful, and they will do whatever they have to make that come true, as long as they recognize that the work that you're going to do is important and it's going to help them in their careers and the objectives of the organization.
Mm-hmm. If there's beer, it helps too.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm all about like thinly veiled bribes. I have no problem with that.
Very good, Geoff. That's fantastic. Well, let's see. Do you have a final thought maybe for the listener who wants to learn and use project management to get things done, to move forward in life, to do that one thing that they've been dreaming about, and to turn an idea into reality?
I guess, I think about all the different tools that are out there. I mean, there's so many of them. I mean, you look in the PMBOK and it's just this laundry list of tools and techniques. And I guess I would say, you know what, don't take any of them too seriously. Be prepared to throw, if you're starting out your plans and you think one idea looks good, be prepared to throw it away. Just use what feels right for a given situation. And one thing I've seen, especially lately with the rise of the internet, is, I mean, if you don't know something, if you're running into a particular snag or a problem that you're not sure how to handle, like, there's this massive community out there that you can just ask, right? I mean, like, people like Elizabeth Heron and Glenn Alleman and all of them, Peter Taylor. There's just so many project management writers out there, and they seem to be so generous with just saying, oh yeah, here's a quick one answer, try this. I'm just really surprised by how friendly and helpful folks are. So I guess, at the end of the day, just remember what your project meant, where your project objectives are, and don't get lost in the weeds.
Very cool. That's a whole different show.
Yeah, it's true.
Geoff, thank you so much. If people want to learn more about you and what you do, where should they go?
Go to papercutpm.com.
Awesome. Geoff, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. It's always a pleasure talking to you, and let's stay in touch, okay?
Likewise, Caesar. Thank you very much.
Project Management for You, breaking down project management and supplying you with tips, advice, and simple steps to turn your ideas into reality. Learn more at projectmanagementforyou.com.
So there you go. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Geoff Crane. Now, Geoff is a great resource for those starting their career in project management or thinking about starting a career in project management. So if you are considering a career in project management, I really recommend you connect with Geoff and you go to his website at papercutpm.com. In fact, just a couple of months ago, Geoff collected articles from 52 different professionals in project management, and he composed an ebook called 52 Tips to Break into Project Management. I was one of the contributors there, so it was a really fun project to participate in. And if you are thinking about, breaking into project management, I really recommend that ebook. It's totally free, and you can find it at papercutpm.com. It's beautifully put together, and basically, it's 52 experts giving our advice on getting started in the profession. So if you've been listening to this series and you're not a project manager, and now this series has piqued your interest into maybe checking the career path of a project manager, go check out that resource. Again, it's at papercutpm.com, and just look for 52 tips to break into project management. It's right on the first page there. All right. So if you enjoy what you are hearing here in this series and would like to take a step further and maybe get a step-by-step approach to using project management to start turning your ideas into reality, delivering on your promises, and getting things done. Head on over to projectmanagementforyou.com and consider backing this project. There is now 16 days to go until the campaign is done. So there's still some time. So if you're listening to this episode way into the future, you can still go to projectmanagementforyou.com and you'll be able to get a copy of the book at that address when the book is ready to ship. So have a great day, enjoy the weekend, and I will talk to you again next time. And until then, remember that life is a project and you are the manager. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you for listening.
Tune in next time for more inspiring interviews and key information to help you get things done.
Want to learn more? Go to projectmanagementforyou.com and order Caesar's book, Project Management for You.
Your path of turning ideas into reality starts now.